All right, guys, last but not least, they just kind of got cut off here, but this is our red to green, our red to green neutral. So red and green being complements. So we're working with crimson red and grass green. Those are the ones we want to be looking for here. Crimson red and grass green. So here we go. Starting with the red, 100% red in this first section here, and this is divided up into 5 sections. I'll come back and get those corners here in a minute. I'm going to continue moving into the next section, which is going to be at 75% red. This middle section, the neutral section, is going to be 50. And then this last section before green is going to be our 25. So now I'm going to spin that around, get right up to the corners there, make sure that my red stops before it gets to that last section. And then I can come back here, pick up those corners. So I am really working this whole section at one time, but I think you'll see in a minute here why I'm doing that and how I'm doing that. Doesn't mean they're all going to be the same when I'm done. So I've kind of put in this base layer of color. There's my 25% is there. Now let's work on the 50% by adding, and I am using a circular motion. Now I'm going to move towards that 75% section and go a little heavier, a little heavier, a little heavier. Maybe go back over it another time to make sure. Kind of blur that line because we don't want it to be abrupt where we change direction, so to speak. Change our color combination. We want it to happen gradually. And get right up to those corners. And this first section, really want it to be nicely burnished. That means I'm applying a lot of pressure, really trying to kind of obliterate the texture of the paper in this case, and just have a nice waxy, rich color. And then again, I want to kind of blur that line, moving back. So even before I add any other color to this, I should see a gradation of kind of this deep value and an appearance of it getting lighter because the white is showing through. All right, here's my grass green. So coming from the opposite direction, my first box is going to be 100% green, and then I begin overlapping. The first section here, more green than anything, so it's that 75% green. As I move into the middle section, I can lighten up my pressure a little bit. I'm moving to the 50% green. And then lastly here, before I get to red, this is the 25% green. Be careful here. Don't go too heavy with your green. You want this color to be more red than anything else. So just a light layer. And then make your way back. Middle section, you can be a little heavier handed. Always spinning it to make sure I'm underneath the edge so that I can really see where I'm leaving a mark and make sure I'm being as precise as possible. This is good practice. And heavier still. This is my 75% range. And then my 100. So this first box, really want it to be rich in color. Really block out the tooth of the paper and the texture of the paper by building up the wax there. Okay, now you need a little bit of burnishing and blending through the middle, so I'm going to go back to my red. Remember, this first section should look like more red than anything else, so pretty heavy-handed here with the red. And then I'm going to come in just a little, not quite so heavy, but still wanting to really work that pigment, blending it with what's underneath to get a nice mixture. And the mixture of red and green isn't like any others. Each of these color combinations, each of these complementary color palettes create their own neutral. Okay, So if you get this funny color that you can't really describe as anything in particular, it doesn't look like red, it doesn't look like green, you know you've reached neutral. Here we should see something that appears to be a dull red, and over here we should see something that appears to be a dull green. But when we look at them all together, it should be just a fluid gradation from one color to the next. So once you've got all of those done, you're in good shape.